What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we are giving you a state of the market and stock picks for July 7th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing as we do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this magical market that we do live in. And it's not manipulated, if I could talk at all. Nonetheless, let's get into state of the market. So today we were ultimately really watching to see what would happen with FOMC meeting notes. And what we gathered from that is that the Fed is looking to come in at roughly around a 50 to a 75 point basis move in this next meeting. My only concern with that being is that I think it just paves the way for a 100-point basis move. Really dependent on earnings, really dependent on numbers going in. We still got a couple of weeks. We still got more data that's going to come in that will build a case towards where they can currently move. Now, something I've been talking about is we are getting into a earnings mode. So typically we'll get some sort of rally. When this does happen, the market has not wanted to sell. The market's been actually trying to push, but with a lot of the negative sentiment that's going around, with currencies just going absolutely berserk and pushing up insanely high, the dollar pushing insanely high, oil has fallen off and kind of just stayed stagnant for the past 2 days. It is a very bullish week. There's a bullish sentiment to this the week of July, 4th of July. So there's a lot of different things kind of pointing to a more hopeful upside or rally. But ultimately, have we hit a bottom? Have we hit peak inflation is what everybody's asking. As soon as we get that, I think we could potentially really rally. But we have to ultimately understand what is happening underneath and trying to pay attention to unemployment and where that stands. We're getting some big data sets coming in on Friday, which will be very pivotal. What's going on. We got earnings, can be very pivotal, trying to determine where layoffs are, where hiring's at, where the companies are cutting back, where they see in the future. Could be pivotal, but normally we still get some sort of rally going into it. And this is why the rally has been happening like 2 or 3 weeks before actual earnings, because earnings can kind of build a little bit of a buffer. And then we kind of move from that point, and we've noticed, I've noticed this past year that we kind of go stagnant right after earnings and start selling off again, which I think could potentially happen here. But real question is, if we hit a bottom, is the 36.36 a bottom? Now, if I think Powell comes anywhere from a 50 point to lower, I think that would be a more positive sentiment that possibly we've reached a peak inflation and the Fed has things under control. As how the market could take that, it really just depends on a lot of different things. We've seen stuff come down. I've even personally noticed that gas has come way down, but it's also starting to push right back up. So we have to see how it unfolds day by day. But with that being said, the 36.36, and to take away from the Fed notes today, just a little insight. They said that 75 point to 50 point. The market's been sitting around the 75 point. And as you can see it here in the blue, you may not be able to see it very well, but the market's already been sitting there. That's why we kind of just chopped around here today. Now, in my opinion, if there's more talk of a 50 point basis move, I can see the market moving up here to the 40-50 mark. Potentially, that's where we have the point basis marked at. Yes, you do have some resistance here, but if there's any kind of hope, I think we could rally up to that. My case is I think the market's going to want to hang around more so the 75 to 100 point basis, because of the fact that even though the report stated 50 to 75, they put in 75 point basis move. So that's kind of concerning. Again, it kind of paves the way for a 100 point basis move coming into this next meeting. Again, they've wanted to front run inflation. A lot of their indicators, even Kathy Woods has pointed out, the PCE has been a lagging indicator on a lot of different things. And so again, that has not been great, right? Like consumer has not been buying, and that's a cause of concern. And the next thing coming is housing, right? And where that going to start unfolding now? That's something that's you really got to take that whole side of everything with a grain of salt, because they've been talking about the next housing crash every year just about since 2008. So yes, there have been plenty of times it's come close, but somehow we continue to bail everything out. The U.S. continues to bail everything out. How long will this happen? But ultimately, again, the general index, we got some big numbers coming out on Friday. Unless the market gaps up overnight over 80 or 38.59, I really don't see that rally up to the 500. We may potentially be waiting for those numbers on Friday to push us up. But I think if we do rally, it's going to be short-lived. That's not really a short-lived rally. If we do hit 40.50, that would be a pretty huge rally. But I think it would be potentially possible to try to capture that 50-point basis move if we again hear more Fed members talking about a 50-point basis move as opposed to 75. If we're going to continue to talk around the 75 and start potentially suggesting a 100-point basis move, I think we're going to float more around this current zone right here if that is the case. And currently the market's been kind of playing down to that 37.42. There's obviously demand down there, but again, if we get any kind of negative sentiments, negative data, something bad, this thing can surely flush right back down to that 36 very quickly. Again, recession, I think we are very much in recession, in my opinion. I think you're starting to see that in a lot of the employment numbers. And then Tesla, again, I always use Tesla as a primary. They're laying off and having issues with supply still. I think growth is going to take another major hit. We have to also understand that these rate raises that Powell keeps coming in with is hurting the growth. That's going to put us into recession. So that is something to keep in mind. So every time we come in at 50 or higher, that you're just stunting more growth. And again, you get 2 quarters of bad GDP, you are going to officially be in a recession. So we are very much headed straight towards that way. So we have to see how this plays out. But nonetheless, Bitcoin still holding the 20. Again, I think it's correlated with the market very tightly. Again, when the market has a lot of fear, when you're talking about recession and everything's going to pretty much almost move the same. You're not going to have much divergence from that till things start to get back to some kind of normalcy again. Then you'll see a lot of the industries kind of branch off a little bit more than they currently are sitting. Now Tesla going into tomorrow is playing this big wedge. I do like that it's winding tight. Tesla really does kind of do this into earnings. Really watching this closely because I think Tesla could really break out big here. Again, even to the downside, you have to be careful of this because I've been talking about 500 for a while. Again, we're very pivotal. The market's pivotal. The market needs more information. It's coming closer to the Fed. We got earnings around the corner on the 20th. So we're really trying to see what could potentially happen here. You also have to remember, too, that on the 15th, you got options expiration. I have to see how much is on the books for options expiration, but you're going to have that coming into next week, too. And always before earnings, you get some sort of sell-off. So that's something to keep in mind, even though this is a bullish sentiment week because of 4th of July. Typically, we haven't really broken out. And if we don't break out tomorrow and Friday, that's going to be concerning, in my opinion. You're going to come into options expiration. You're going to come into bank earnings. You're going to come into the Fed. And if we continue to hover around here, I think it's just more of a bad sentiment that we're going to start potentially selling off even more. So we have to watch. And then Tesla, again, has been struggling. And one of the best companies, best ecosystems out there is struggling. That tells you a lot. That is an indicator. This is why I follow a lot of major companies first. They will tell you first before anything else. And right now, everything else is completely getting demolished. So yeah, that's what I got for Tesla. Chips are interesting. NVIDIA, we did have the break, retest. We try to sell back off. Again, it really depends on how this thing plays out. If If it can't hold that 152 mark, I think this thing could potentially start selling off pretty heavy. Again, I don't like the fact that it's broke to the downside again, but it's not playing out. As soon as it breaks out, and you should have had today should have been a hard rejection and sell off typically, but it's breaking back into these wedges, which I don't like, and so you're not getting these bigger moves out of these things. Everything's winding tight, ready and anticipating for the next big move. So watching that. Going tomorrow, Airbnb is an interesting one. I do like the descending wind share. I think if the market does turn, this thing's really going to rip. So I do want to keep Airbnb on watch. Next coming days, I think we're going to get some sort of information, whether it's upside or downside. But if this does break out on the daily, I definitely want to keep an eye because this thing can really start ripping. This thing rips fast. That's why I do like to keep Airbnb on watch. So that is one I want to definitely watch moving forward for the next couple of days. Let's take a look at BA. So the other value has just been consolidating. There's a lot of consolidation. That's good for the most part. So I definitely have a floor here at 116. Again, I think the market starts to sell. You're going to get BA back at 116. If not, it could potentially start reversing up. Again, the market is waiting. What piece of information is going to be the piece of information that's going to send us up or send us down? And I think that is what the Fed's next move is. What's the rumor on the Fed? Are they going 50? Are they going 75? Or are they going 100? Are they go 100? You could potentially crater this thing. 100 is going to almost solidify a recession, in my opinion. 75, I think, could potentially even do that as well. 50, you're really pushing a recession. 25, I think, is close, but you really have to understand that the more rate increases that keep coming in, right, you're just it's more of an impact on growth. And the more you're impacting growth, the more that it's going to start hurting the chances of us even getting out of a recession. Again, the chances, I think, daily are increasing more and more of a recession, again, if we're not already in it. But we'll see moving forward what happens there. So BA, again, consolidating. The banks, they look really bad this morning. I'm not going to lie. We were down here this morning. We look like we're getting ready to sell off pretty heavy. Somehow this thing is still holding on and barely holding on. The banks did do a stress test. They did do very well. They are making a lot of money. I think just given the way the asset purchasing and everything that's gone on over the pandemic, that they've really kind of accumulated a lot of money from that time and kind of really helped themselves to set us up for another bull run. This is the biggest thing I want you to keep in mind too, is that even though I sound very bearish about everything, there's going to be a big opportunity presented here. And this is where you got to be positive about everything, be patient, accumulate some things, right? I'm saying mostly cash until I see something that's going to trigger me, that's to take a position. But I think we are getting close. I think we can take one more major hit. I'm kind of thinking if we get 75 or 100 point basis move, that would be enough to break us down. And then from that point, I think we could, you get into panic mode. And when you get started into panic mode, none of it makes sense anymore. And it will just continue to sell for no reason. You start hitting panic mode, then you just have to wait for people to stop panicking. And then when people stop panicking, then we can start reversing up. And I think we haven't quite hit that. And I think we're right on the verge of a panic. And it's, again, why this month is so pivotal and why the banks are being very steady in what's going on here, because they want to see how they're doing during earnings. I think, again, they might do very well. But again, what's really going to matter is the forward outlook and how things are looking from that point. And again, gas is going to play huge in all that stuff as well. Goldman Sachs holding steady, again, still holding under 300, which is not a good sign. It could be potentially a higher low, but we'll have to see, or a lower high. It just depends on how you test it. So you had to break down back below the 20, getting a retest of that. Are we going to continue to sell off is really the question. BA, Bank of America, same. descending wedge, but again, nothing is playing out. So even if we do get our earnings rally, I think everything is going to be short-lived because you've got the Fed backed right behind it. And I think really the banks aren't going to matter. I think they will to some extent. Obviously they do, because they drive a lot of what the market does, a lot of what the index does. But ultimately, you're going to have big tech right behind that. And that's going to be concerning if Tesla can't pull through, and it doesn't look like they will. And you've already kind of got that forewarning from Elon saying that we got some really bad times ahead of us. So just be mindful of that. Elon does like to plant seeds. And again, if customers aren't there, we could be in for a recession. And again, try to look at the positive, try to accumulate as much cash as possible and be ready to deploy that cash when you can. Ultimately, this is why they call cash is king. And I know a lot of people that do follow me are crypto side, but cash is king. Sit and wait, be patient, slowly accumulate very selective stocks, crypto, and then just wait, and your time will come. You'll know when it comes. Slowly accumulate some very selective industry leaders. Don't try to guess, right? You don't want any of those stocks that are potential. You want proven. You're looking for proven stocks, proven cryptos, not some random off the shelf company that could have potential. Potential is not what you're looking for right now, especially during a recession. So with that all being said, that is pretty much what I got. If you've made it this far, go ahead and drop a like. And until next time, I will see you guys later.